everyone. Welcome to SST College of Arts and Commerce. This is SST Edupedia. I am Professor Manmeet Kaur, and today we are going to continue with our subject of business environment. In there, we will start with our next module, that is political and legal environment. This environment is concerning with the business. We have started with business environment. In that, now our next topic is political environment. The content which we are going to cover in this module is political environment and its institutions, consisting legislature and judiciary part, economic environment and its policies, and at last we are going to start with sunrise sector of Indian economy. Let's begin. So political environment of business refers to the political or government actions that impact the business. The operations or the dealings of business are affected by the political decisions or the policies which are made by the government. The political factors usually go hand in hand. These all factors work hand in hand, and at the end it impacts the business either positively or negatively. Legal ones and are generally viewed as non-market forces. These are non-market forces. The market forces are, on the other hand, are forces which concern with demand and supply, which affects the demand and supply of the commodity. But political environment is, on the other hand, concerning with non-market forces that affect the economic, social and cultural environment as a whole. The political environment can be studied in the terms of the central government, the citizens of the country, rules and regulations. See, we all know the rules and regulations are framed already by the government, the parliament, and we are supposed to follow the rules and regulations. So whether it is a domestic business or international business, we have to follow some norms, we have to go through the norms accordingly. Example of political factors related to central government of a country are levels of bureaucracy, corruption and government stability. At the end, we need stability in our business, which is possible only when the government policies are stable for the businesses. What are the political institutes? The very first thing is legislature. That is a law-making body of political unit, usually a national government that has power to enact, amend and even take back the public policy. Firstly, enact means to implement the policy. Second thing they have given is amend, means whether we want to make any changes, the government is making any small changes relating to the current scenarios, and even take back the policy. They can draw back the policy from the constitution. It consists of parliament, it consists of President of India, the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Legislature consists of these three bodies. The parliament makes laws for governance of the country. The governance, the examinations, the everything, implementation and scrutinizing the data, everything, taxation, everything comes under this part. The functions of legislature are regulatory functions, means to make sure whether the rules and regulations are followed or not. Financial powers, it has financial powers such as budgetary controls. Then judiciary functions, constitutional function, electoral functions, all these things comes under legislature. Then next thing we have is judiciary. These are known as the system which interprets and applies the rules which are given by the legislature. Means legislature is the main component which frames the policies, and then judiciary makes sure that they are implemented properly, and later on the executives are there to make sure there is no illegal or unfavorable, unethical things happening. Functions here are making new laws, administrative and advisory function. Wherever we are having any confusions, we go to the judiciary bodies for the solution. Interprets the constitution and laws where we are not able to understand. Judiciary bodies help us to understand the laws easily. Protection and fundamental rights and guardians of constitution, these are the elements which protect the government. Roles of government in business. The government plays a very important role. The very first role is that protection of business property. The protection of all the stakeholders are ultimately in the hands of government, depending on the policies, depending on the rules, enforcing business contracts, permissions, licensing, everything. After the registration only, the commencement of business, the registration letter, certification, only after that we are supposed to start with our transactions. Contract enforcement, consumer protection. If consumer is exploited in any way, the consumer directly can approach the consumer court, and there are many levels that consumer can reach and have its justice. Employment protection. If on the other hand the employments are exploited, the same way the hierarchy is there for the employees also to get the assistance. Environmental protection, investors protection, and setting and collecting the taxes from the business enterprises. These were the role of government in business sector. Now next we have economic environment. The term economic environment refers to all the external factors that influence the buying habits of the consumer. See, if we have enough sufficient purchasing power, only then we will be able to purchase the commodities, only then we will be able to purchase or enjoy the services that we ask for. So when we have sufficient purchasing power, that is money saving in our hand, only then we will be able to go for the purchasing things. Therefore, it affects the performance of the company. When consumers are not making the demand of the commodity, the business on the other hand will not be able to produce enough, and therefore the supply will also not be there. These factors are often beyond the company's control. These are not under the control of business, and these are divided into two parts, that is micro and micro. Economic factors affecting the business. The very first factor that affects is inflation rate, महंगाई. Then interest rates, unemployment labor costs, taxes, tariffs, all these things affects the economic environment and ultimately affects the society overall, as business is part of the society itself. Trade policy here means a commercial or a trade policy is a set of rules and regulations that are intended to change international flows, trade flows which are done on international scale, particularly to restrict the imports, as imports are costlier to us. On the other hand, if we make the export, our Indian businesses will be promoted and will get a scope of growth for international markets. So trade policy makes sure or restricts as much as possible the imports and promotes the exports, with public officials formulating the policy, which the policies here are framed in such a way which will promote the exports. Public sector in here is a part of economy concerned with providing various government services, which consists like roads, education, along with the healthcare and other facilities that are provided by the government. Private sector are on the other hand controlled by an individual which is not government, and that happens as the company moves for, or the motive of the company is to earn profit as much as possible. Next we have sunrise sector of Indian economy. The term sunrise here is used here to emphasize that these sectors are growing in a positive way currently, as we are moving globally and digitally. We are using all these things. The very first thing is information technology, IT, through which we are able to again reach global sectors. We are able to connect with n number of consumers. Next is food processing. The food processing industry is growing as we are demanding the FMCG products over here. Telecommunication here is the next sector that is demanding more attention these days. Telecommunication, then we have healthcare and infrastructure. Infrastructure is development, urbanization, and then we have retail, where we go to the stores and purchase the commodity. On the other hand, now we will see the problems faced by Indian economy. Again we have inflation, महंगाई बढ़ रही है, population, unbalanced economic growth we have. The growth is not balanced, it is not stable, and it is not equal. We are not all getting the equal things. Increase in spending capacity. The capacity of spending is increasing, on the other hand the distribution is not equal. Poor education standard, poor infrastructure, poor standard of living, all these things are similar and comes under as a problem or the issues which our Indian economy is facing right now. High level of private debt. The debt that we own or we have taken privately are increasing these days. High level of private debt, as we said. Inequality, large budget deficit. What the word deficit means, a shortage of funds in the budget, and rigid labor laws. The labor laws are very rigid, they are not flexible according to the situation. Inadequate and insufficient agriculture facilities, slowdown in the growth. All these things are causing a problematic situation for Indian economy, especially for business sector. That's it for today's session. We will continue in the next session. Thank you.